Hello and welcome to the AOSC Super Series live on Apex Racing TV and live on the iRacing Esports Network. We're here for round 4 of the championship. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick. Alongside me is Daniel Lee, Matthew Norris and Scott Newton, who is on the cameras tonight. And we're at the legendary Monza circuit. Daniel, this place is more of a lottery than most other places. Proper slipstream effect. It's difficult to break the draft. You can afford to not be the fastest around this place, but if you've got good racecraft, you can just about make up for it.
Yeah, good evening, Sam, and to all the viewers tuning in. Great to have you back for round 4. Yeah, really tricky track here. It's going to make a lot of use of drafting. Obviously, the guys now have tweaked a lot of the setups. They're getting the most out of that draft. Getting the braking now is going to be key into these big chicanes that they've got to negotiate. But from what we've seen throughout the course of the season, racing has been top-notch, and no reason to think we're not going to see that again tonight.
Definitely. I mean, so far this season, James Scott has just been absolutely phenomenal. It seemed to say he was beatable in the middle part of last season. Occasionally, he was outpaced by Harley Haber and Andrew Gilliam as well. But he started this season incredibly strongly. 3 wins out of 3, and so far in qualifying, he's looking remarkably strong. He's half a second clear in qualifying. That's something that we barely ever see in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. G'day Sam, g'day Daniel, g'day everyone. He's been in a class of his own this season so far. He didn't have it all his own way last time out at Okayama. There was a bit of a challenge there from Adam Briggs, but he's definitely been a class of his own in qualifying so far this round here at Monza. And he's the only Altus esports car out there tonight, so he's got to fight them off solo.
Definitely, yeah. Won't have any of his teammates to help him out today. Big thanks to all the sponsors for this championship. We make this series as professional, as serious, as high quality as it is. So Acuta, who provide height, safety, and rigging equipment for sale and hire. Jinx Shifters, who make premium shifters for brake bias and ARB adjusters. Race Circuit Arts Australia, who make high quality CNC race circuits which you can hang on your wall. Really fantastic products there. Sixth Gear Imagery, doing sim racing digital imagery. Wolf Graphics, doing Aussie made stickers. And West End Master, Too Easy Finance, and Parameter Isuzu Utes as well. Sydney Car Deals led by Principal Jamie McKnight. So thanks to all of them for their support, and do check out their products definitely in the near future. Here is the championship standings. James Scott leading the way, 140 points clear of Adam Briggs, who has been one of the revelations of this season so far. DPR really stepping up. Marlon McMullen as well, because didn't have a fantastic first season in these new supercars. However, he has got much stronger this season. There he is in 3rd place, and then back to Kenneth Thatcher and Jordan Ross in 4th and 5th. And plenty of drivers very close behind as well. It's pretty early on in the season, Daniel, but who do you think is going to be Scott's main rival this season? I think last season it was probably kind of maybe Gilliam and maybe Gilliam, Ross, and maybe Haber as well, who were always trying to push him and could occasionally take the challenge to him. Any idea of who's going to be his main rival this season, the person who's going to most likely challenge him for this title? Daniel, yeah? I seem to have just lost Daniel for a moment. I'll ask Noi instead. I mean, who do you think is going to be James Scott's biggest rivals over the course of the season?
So far, it's hard to go past Adam Briggs, as he was pretty on James's tail there at Okayama. But it's anyone's game at the moment. We're only 4 rounds in. We're heading to a pretty difficult circuit tonight in Monza, which is essentially 2 drag strips, broken up by a couple of chicanes. So it's anyone's game, and the championship's still young. But at the moment, I'm saying Briggsy might have his measure.
At the moment, where is Briggs on the grid? Struggling to even find. I'm not sure if he is Adam even here tonight. I'm struggling to see. In fact, he's down in 24th place. 24th. He's 1.3 seconds off pole. Is Adam Briggs. if he can improve, that would be of massive help. But I think he's currently in the pits, so that is a huge shame for one of the best drivers so far this season. That 72 car has been coming on very strongly so far. So a few more drivers trying to set their lap times. The 20-minute qualifying session is about to expire. However, you can finish your lap time that you start. So when the clock ticks, you will be able to reach the start-finish line. Jordan Ross on a quick lap at the moment. This might be good enough for the front row of the grid as he cuts the beam, and it is good enough for second place. Still 4 tenths slower than the pole sitter, but it's a good lap for Ross, and also Morgan Christensen also improving in 6th and 7th. Very close in all those places, apart from James Scott, who must have found a shortcut around this circuit, because frankly, that is a remarkable lap time that he's been able to produce. Jamie McKnight in 24th place. I think he managed to cross the line in time, so he'll be one of the last drivers to reach the start-finish line. Is there anyone closer to the finish line? In fact, they're all kind of midway round the lap at the moment. I think Scott Gamble is going to be the first, maybe even James Scott as well, though I think pole position is very much secured for him at the moment. Through the Sky chicane, just nipping each of the curbs, as Scott is, you can see a few yellow sectors at the moment for him. The yellow sectors as well for the others, but a couple of green ones as well, and Beacon might try to improve. So who was that? Was that Geordie Sidney?
Sorry, Sam. It's just Geordie Sidney getting a bit of sideways action off the back of the curb through the chicane there. It looked a bit exciting over the back.
Into the pits comes Johnston. In fact, they're all coming into the pits. Maybe I think they did cross the line in time, but none of them feeling as though they were going to improve. Greg Sharp, is he going to peel off into the pits? No, he's going to continue over the yellow sectors for him at the moment. I think that will pretty much be it for this qualifying session. And yeah, this should set up the grid for the race coming up in a little bit. 150 kilometers, of course. We're going back to the sprint format as we saw at Okayama last time out, Nori. And so one pit stop, I guess, around this circuit, is it going to be much high tyre consumption? Are the rears going to feel it? Because this is such a unique circuit.
It's essentially, it's like I said before, it's 2 drag strips. So if they're easy on their rear tyres, they could make them live. But they've got to be super careful on the throttle application coming out of those chicanes, wanting to not use up the tyre too much and making sure it lives, so you only need to take 1 through your pit stop.
Still seeing James Scott out on circuit at the moment. I'm not quite sure why he's out. Oh no, he's towed back. He's gone back to the pit, so we should be able to go through your grid very soon as the session ticks over and drivers start forming up on the grid. It's a long run down to turn 1. Pole position perhaps not so useful. We saw that last time out when Scott went from 4th to 1st in the first few corners. He's just got to hold on to the lead this time. 4 tenths clear of Jordan Ross in 2nd place. Carl Stokes in 3rd. Tom Freer, good to see him back up there in 4th. Wasn't a good Okayama round for him, but he is getting better at qualifying, must be said, is the Pursuit Sim Racing driver. Geordie Sidney, very good qualifying for him. That might be a personal best qualifying up in 5th. Then it's Brian Borg, Ben Christensen, Jacob Knight, Brett Loxton, my pick for 2nd place. Kobe Jones, Marlon McMullen. He will be a little bit disappointed with that, Marlon. Then it's Corey Shepherd, Dylan Rudd, Sean Ninzel, Thomas Hinds, Kenneth Latter, Damien Johnston, Scott Gamble, Jamie Stobold, and Stephen Varga. That's the top 20. I'll let the others quickly cycle through for you now. Actually, yeah. I just realised I had a little bit more time, but it's no worries. You can see right at the back of the order, Michael Tadyancic didn't set a qualifying time. He's going to be very dangerous out here on circuit. Where do we think the pit window is going to? We've already talked a little bit about the tyres, but if you're Tadyancic at the back, would you be thinking about going for a mega undercut on these drivers?
Not really, because it's such a slipstream sensitive circuit. You sort of want to be in the toe, and if you can cut laps like James Scott can cut around this circuit, maybe the toe's not so critical, but if you're down the pack a little, you need every piece of assistance you can get. So I'm not sure you try the undercut. I think it's I'm not sure why you wouldn't have put a time in. but maybe he likes the challenge.
Perhaps so. So here we go then. James Scott from the pole position. It's Jordan Ross alongside him. And we're away for 150 kilometers of racing at Monza. Scott straight away covers off the inside line. This could be very dangerous going down into a potential domino effect. The 143 trying to get out of his rear wing, but Scott with a very comfortable start. And the judge just trying to slow it down very narrow. We've got 3 or 4 wide further back. There's going to be plenty of contact, but not too many drivers are spun round, which is fantastic to see. 1 or 2 places gained by most drivers, but very few dropping well to the back of the order. Good start for Brian Paul. Cool start for Jordy Cini. He's gone from 5th down to 8th, just getting shuffled down, it seemed, in those first couple of corners. Into the second chicane we go now, and remarkably, many of the drivers into single file. Not too many moves being attempted by these guys at the moment. Good start as well for Corey Shepherd to move up into the top 10. And that is textbook stuff so far from these drivers. Daniel, that was excellent driving and a great start as well for James Scott.
Yeah, it was a really solid start there for everyone to get away. No major incidents. We saw a little bit of hustle and bustle just as the guys worked their way through that second chicane. But the train's really starting to stretch out now. Everyone back into single file, which is what they're going to need. And the drafting and the passing is really going to start coming into its own. You see a few guys further back, a little bit of 2x2 as they work their way down through the chicane here. But all in all, it's been a fantastic start for everyone.
Absolutely, and Scott already with a 7/10 of a second lead. That's almost breaking the draft, frankly, and that's going to really help him out later on. Cini versus Knight, and that is Cini gaining back a place, but a bit of a lock-up as well. It's a little bit slightly for Tom Freer, perhaps. Very unusual lines he tries to take through the parabolica. Some very tight, some may try to open it up a little bit more. We're used to drivers using every parts of the circuit, but these guys like to square off the track ever so slightly more. And now into this massive braking area. These cars are so quick down the straights. They haven't got the best brakes, however. And Knight on the brakes at the moment. No move there, even though you kind of feel like the Constantine effect did make a move possible for him. Just behind as well, Loxton and McMullen alongside one another. McMullen just trying to stay in that 11th place, and Loxton dropping down 3 places and down into 12th.
Good solid fight between those two. Not too much paint exchange as they work their way through up into the second set of chicanes here. Nice braking for all of them. McMullen really starting to use the curb quite a lot. The car already looking very settled as it drops back down onto the road. Whereas for Loxton, they're a little bit unsettled on the landing. That's going to open up quite a good opportunity there for Sean Linsell and Kenneth Latta just behind.
Yeah, you saw that car when it landed. It was really awkward for Brett Loxton when he caught the car, and it's not quite comfortable when you've got these chicanes. You've got to land the car quite well and stable, so he'll have to make sure he tunes that one up as the race progresses.
Yeah, that did look quite uncomfortable, and yeah, just squirming as he tried to get the power back on. Lots of curve as well over the Sky chicane on the exit. So often been so. Oh, we've got a safety car. In fact, so keep doing. So there must be a car stop then. So this is just a random one. Jamie Dyke, perhaps. I'm seeing him perhaps stopped out on circuit right at the back of the order. Is Jamie, and the yellow flags though out, and we'll get a safety car. And in fact, it might be Jaden Borg through Curva Grande. 094, and then getting another hit as well, and not being able to say he can continue, and a couple more drivers as well getting involved in that big wreck.
Yeah, that's a bit of an awkward one there for Jaden. He's got a good run out through the first chicane, down around the outside there, trying to just roll the car through, and there's already a car a little bit slow through there, and then he's just been rotated around hard into the wall. Actually gets collected a second time coming back through, so not a great start for him, unfortunately. In the Curtis Simsport team, they'll have to get that car repaired and back up and away.
Yeah, apologies for missing that initially. It was quite far down the order. I think once he tows back, he might be able to be allowed back on circuit. I imagine he will be a lap down the towing effect. So it's a little bit longer, well, a lot longer, I think, when you do have the safety car out on circuit. So Scott's lead that he managed to build up obliterated. Okay, so we're going back to Silverstone here, and I don't think you guys can possibly make fun of me when I bring up the possibility. Could you pit now and get to the end of the race? Is that a possible thing? Will the fuel go far enough? Will the tyres go far enough? Or am I being insane right now?
Well, the last time we spoke of that, there was a pretty resounding no from both Nori and myself, and I think we're going to agree with the same comment at this point in time. The fuel window for these guys is around lap 17, so trying to get through early on, not maybe the best thing. If anything, it's actually going to put you further down the field, and you're going to really struggle to get through again with the class of driving talent we've got. So I think for everyone here, stay out as long as you can, get the most. Once this safety car goes away, definitely build that gap, and we'll see a lot more of them later on in the race.
Yep, it's a resounding no from me too. Take the spin off that one, Sam.
Back in the bin I go. At Silverstone, I will just remind the viewers, I pulled the blinder when I called that you could go to the end of the race. And Premier Racing Team were denied by iRacing, absolutely robbed, like you've never seen, when the race continued despite the clock being on 4 hours and 8 seconds. And yet we got another lap, and that denied in the race win. And I would just say, Daniel and I were wrong on that occasion. I think they're probably right on this occasion. However, I doubt you could go to the end of the race on the fuel that they have. But let's wait and see. Maybe a few drivers will peel on in. Of course, this pit lane is so long, you lose a lot of time around here, because the pace that you would be doing if you're on circuit compared to the pit lane is obviously way faster. It's one of the fastest straights, one of the longest straights we have all season long, and it's a very long pit lane as well. So if you can get a pit stop done during the safety car, it is a massive advantage. So maybe wait to see maybe some drivers make a pit stop if we have a safety car a little bit later on. It should be a bit of an advantage, and so far none of them taking that opportunity. A couple of drivers getting pretty close to the pits, it must be said, appearing to come in, but yeah, just pulling out again. There you see the 97. We have got a driver in. It is Brett Loxton. Congratulations to him. I'm not sure why this is. Any ideas, guys?
Well,
Probably a little bit.
Sorry, Dan.
No, well, I was going to say there was a little bit of contact early on between him and McMullen as they worked their way through that second chicane before Mullen was able to get ahead. So that might have hurt them. There's also a few more, Sam. So yes, you do get the prediction on that one, but these guys obviously were way at the back of the field. I believe Jaden Borg's in that, Jamie Dyke, Chris Barnes. So a couple of the tanked SRT cars in there. We've got one of the Zuba cars and one of the Coda cars in the lane right now.
I was going to say Sam's tipped Loxton to come second, so maybe he's listening to Sam's tipping advice and doing the right strategy too. So we'll see if it plays out.
I don't want to be harsh to Brett, but I think he's going to have to do something unusual to get on the podium. Frankly, today he dropped outside the top 10. And so if he wants to get a top 3, then he's going to have to put in some drive from this point of the race onwards. I think the safety car will be in on this lap. It is a long lap we have around here in terms of distance, of course. It's going to be one of the quickest races we have all season, actually. The average speed around here, particularly in these cars, is extremely high, especially compared to Okayama, you think, from last time out. But the safety car will just make the race go on for a little bit longer. You can see the pace car lights are out, and so Scott will be able to control the field. This could be a tricky restart though. They can go green, I think, around Parabolica, maybe a little bit just before the final corner, I believe. But Scott's going to do well to break that draft, because Ross will know that if he's going to win this race, he's got to get past right away here.
Absolutely. The overtake zone is just after the Parabolica. So he's going to need to make that move stick, and he's going to need to make that move succeed if he's got any chance of getting by Scott or James Scott with that margin he's pulling tonight.
And the other thing the guys are going to have to look at too is obviously we've now had two laps behind the pace car. The tyres have cooled off quite a bit, and trying to get the power down through the parabolic is not going to be an easy scenario for these guys. The back's going to want to step sideways on them, and I wouldn't be surprised to see quite a few of these cars, a little bit of opposite lock as they try and work their way through it.
It's going to be a fun restart here. You can see Scott's not left a big gap to the safety car, and so he's not going to be able to get his foot down until pretty much the parabolic. He's got to be careful here, Scott, because of course, as we've been saying, that the overtaking range is just after the parabolica, and he's going to have to wait until after the parabolica to go green. But he is now slowing it up a little bit more, allowing the pace car to get away really slow. Scott often has told us how confident he feels on the cold tyres. He's happy that the tyres are cold, and he's done a good job actually of leaving a bit of a gap. He's got the opportunity to put his foot down pretty much from any point from here, and there he goes. Good start though for Ross. He's been able to keep up with him through the parabolica. Now the run down the pit straight. Can the car number 1 defend from the car number 143? The pace cars into the pits, and we are back racing again at Monza. Scott with a 0.2 of a second lead at the moment. It's coming down there. Here comes Ross. Is he going to go for the move? Ross just goes to the outside. Scott defends the inside. It's slightly put offline, but that was good defense in the end. He almost was able to take his normal line anyway. It's single file for most of the order. Everyone's got slipstream on one another, so not really any big runs for any of the drivers, as Ross again tries to put the pressure on. Gaps back up to quarter of a second. It's going to be more difficult to make the move into this corner than it was in the first corner. Couldn't have really got a much better launch. He reacted very well to Scott putting the foot down, but just couldn't get it done into turn 1. Now Scott will try to reopen up that gap.
It was a really good jump from Jordan to get off the line, off the restart as well as he did, not losing too much in touch with the Logitech car there. Actually, both the Synergy cars got really good effort, really good start. So, I mean, something they worked on. We saw they struggled a little bit last season off those restarts. They've found something that's working quite nice in the car. Gap only now half a second at the moment, but that will definitely close up as they start coming back through third and final chicane and work their way up to the parabolica. A few passing moves going on further back in the field, however. Everyone working 2 and 3 wide here.
This is mega close. At the front of this is Scott Gamble. He's having to defend for his life right now against Andrew Dyson and Damian Johnston, Davis Kimmond and Jamie Stovold. Reese Keane and Alan Briggs at the back of this. Remember, second place in the championship is Briggs. Needs to try to recover some places if he can. Change your position potentially just at the front of this. Oh, big contact. And are we going to have another safety car here? Or are the drivers all right? I think that was Gamble and Dyson. And also Delaney maybe got involved in that one as well. I'm not quite sure. So some big contacts in there. A couple of those drivers are going to have to come back into the pits. They're close enough to the pits though that I don't think we're going to need another safety car.
No, it looks like all the cars have managed to get going again, and those cars involved in that have got into the lane. Also throw Damian Johnson into that one as well. He tried to take some avoiding action and unfortunately found himself tangled up in that mess. So he's fallen well down the order now as well.
Andrew Dyson going for the move on Scott Gamble. A bit of an upset to Gamble's car and gets hit on the rebound.
Don't know who went into who there. Maybe the stewards will have a look at that one. Sinny gets past Christensen. I think that was into the first Lesme. Oh, look at this pack. Oh, they're going to be so slow. And we're going to have 3 wide here. Knight is going to take advantage of this one round the outside. He might be up into 6th place, 3 wide into the Sky chicane. There's contact between the front 2. Surely the outside line can't work here. And there is contact, and they are going to make contact. Sinny across the grass on the inside. He's going to have to slow down, and now he's going to be really slow, trying to serve that slow down, Sinny. Dropping down is Knight, who went for the ambitious move, but to be honest, you're running the risk when you try to make it 3 wide in that situation. Surely Sinny's got more slow down to serve here, and I think that's what he's currently doing, and that will allow 3 wide again. Sinny on the inside. Trying to turn in there was the car number 2 of Jones. But good driving there from Christensen to wrap his car around the outside. Him and Sinny aren't going to have much of a substitute chance now as Jones squeezes round the outside. Down the pit straight we go, and Sinny's coming back for more. It's 3 wide for the 3rd time in half a lap. And Sinny's going to have the best line surely into the chicane this time. He moves slightly across. The car number 9 does well to stop, although he did get a slight tap, I think, from Shepherd just behind. Tight battling here, and surely Sinny can well done to him, because after a couple of bits of contact, he's managed to get back up into second.
It was a really good run there. He a little unfortunate just to make a bit of contact with Knight there. We saw Knight go off into the Ascari. I think he's fallen well down as a result of that one now, but to keep the foot in it like he did and try and get through further up the field, that was a really good effort for him there. The guys further back though, with the 2 and 3 wide, to not see anyone else involved in that as they all worked their way down and through the first chicane there, really good effort as well.
Scott not pulling away from Ross. Ross has been able to stay in the slipstream range, and this is looking much more competitive than it did earlier on. Stokes and Free as well, keeping in range. Usually, at least last season, Pursuit usually had very good tyre line. Don't think we've necessarily seen that this season, although we haven't seen enough of them at the front of the order so far this championship, frankly. But no, Ross is doing a good job at the moment, 3.5 tenths of a second. They're even amongst all the sectors, and he'll be saving fuel as well, which might mean that he'll have to put less fuel in at their only pit stop.
Given those couple of laps we spent under that safety car, they're going to have a shorter fill too, because they would have been able to save some fuel a couple of laps we were under safety car. That means that the fuel stop we thought we were going to see isn't going to be half as long as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, saving a lot of fuel under the safety car around this type of circuit. Here comes McKnight. He's alongside Hayden Veld currently with Damien Johnston. Also very close. I think Johnston getting involved in that clash at the Parabolica earlier on. McKnight hasn't got this one done. He took a lot of curves where you've got to be careful you don't pick up a slowdown there. Good room being left by the 53 to not get quarter panels. And a better exit for McKnight. He'll still be vulnerable though. Through the Curva Grande. And into the second chicane as well. Going inside, outside. Both moves work into this corner. And Johnston's going to try to go for the inside here. Veld though, staying alongside, takes a lot of curb. And that might be a slowdown as well for Veld. He'll certainly all caused wheels off the circuit. And that is a disappointing couple of corners for him.
Yeah, but a great pass there too for Johnston down the inside. Managed to work the car around the outside. He stayed with McKnight as well. So these two will continue there. Scrap McKnight with some new sponsorship on that car as well. Across the bonnet there by the looks as well. Damien Johnston also with a new livery on the Gone Road Motorsport car. I know we've traditionally had some trouble picking those cars up. The United Sim Sports and the Gone Road cars both supporting the Valvoline colours on there, but Damien with a new livery, which looks very, very nice on that car.
Further up, Cini isn't, Cini's been re-overtaken by Jones though. Jones back up into 6th place. Kobe Jones having an awesome run. I'm not totally familiar with Jones, it must be said. I'm not sure if did he do last season, because certainly was never this high up last season.
As far as I know, he's recently been picked up by ANZ to run with them, and Ben Christensen took great pride last week saying that he was faster than Kobe Jones. So evidently Kobe's faster than Ben, and normal order has resumed.
Yeah, maybe a bit of a benchmark between the couple of them. Joe's not pulling away far enough for the chart. This pack goes all the way back to Hinds. You can see on the time tell. You can also check out the live timing link in the description below, provided by SDK Gaming. If you click on that, you can open up a web page, and then that will tell you the gaps between all the drivers, the gap from each driver to the leader, their last lap time, their best lap time, the lap that they came into the pits, their length of pit lane time, loads of stuff you can do on that. I thoroughly recommend opening that if you've got an extra monitor or a tablet or phone. Click on the description below and open up the live timing. Dia, he's in a tight battle with Delaney Ritu. Whiting Taliancic up into 29th, up 15 places at the moment is Taliancic. I thought he might try to undercut these other drivers. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in very soon, although it's usually Taliancic who goes further than everyone else in this first. He does like a alternate gesture.
Yeah, he's been aided by a couple of incidents that we've seen already throughout the course of the night, but take nothing away from the 15 spots from where he started is Rob Bowden, heavy in the wall there. and that's a lot of damage to the front of that tanked SRT car. So a little bit of a tricky end there, and something that we've seen a few guys already have some troubles trying to get those cars working through the Ascari chicane there. Just gets up on that little bit of a crossing curb, and then the grass and the sand come into play there for him.
One thing about 600 odd horsepower of a V8 supercar, it does not like touching gravel, sand, or AstroTurf.
Also seen Keen as well how to skip through the chicane. Credit to him for doing the slalom. You don't have to do the slalom because just loses you a little bit more time because the sedan is given regardless. But you did still do it. Keen down into 18th place now. Not sure where Keen was, frankly, before that incident. But he started in 22nd place, didn't Keen say? I know, you must have had a good run to get as high as he was. I think he was up in the top 15 at least. P11. Apologies, thanks to Scott Newton for whispering that in my ear. Marlon McMullen actually dropping back a little bit now from Cine. He's just had, in fact, he's recently got past Christmas, and that might be why a little bit of a gap has formed. And he'll try to chase down these couple of drives ahead. They're over 10 seconds now off the race leaders.
Yeah, the opening trio of cars really managing to skip away quite nicely. The pace is very consistent for those guys at the moment. Last time by, we saw pretty well everyone up to position 10 running a 148, and then we get down to Dylan Rudd going in 12th, starting in the 49. So pace a little bit down from what we saw in qualifying. A lot of these guys were up and around the 146s as well, and we see a huge amount of guys starting to come in the lane to get those first stops done.
You don't need to get a C in A-level maths, as I did. Don't want to boast or anything, but to realise that half of 26 is 30, so we are getting near that range at the moment. And Ross is in a convenient position. It's so weird because it looked as though Scott has such a pace advantage. I mean, he was half a second clear in most of qualifying, ended up 4/10 clear in qualifying. He sprinted away in the first couple of laps. I mean, he was a second and a half clear within 3 laps. And yet now, Ross is staying in the draft, and Stokes is matching those guys. Priya as well, not too bad. It's just a relief that he's actually being challenged today.
Yeah, everyone's really picked up the game with the pace. I think the week off and a few other competitions that have been on has really helped these guys get the extra track time they need to develop those setups and see them push towards the front.
We've seen a bit of that though this season, where James Scott has been the benchmark, but we have seen others challenge him. So it's good to see everyone throwing up a battle, and it's good to see him not running away with it and getting challenged for a victory.
Definitely, I think Alton Park. I think probably only his teammates could really take that one off of him. But certainly at Silverstone, they were fortunate to win with Logitech G out to C spots, and then last time out, I think Scott wasn't the fastest, although he did tell us post-race he was a little bit ill, a little bit under the weather. He does seem to be back on fighting form now though. Borg, Shepherd, Lindsell, Rudd, all into the pits. Rudd was pretty close to making a move just before. I think that was on Lindsell. He was trying to make the move on, and McKnight's in as well. So lots of drivers coming in. I imagine Tajančić will stay out. Yeah, Tajančić is starting to open up potentially now for him. I think he'll be going until about lap 18, frankly, just going as far as he can, and then have some fresh tyres to attack late on in the race. It's the alternative stretch through. Like I said before, he's up into 12th place now from 44th on the grid. We've got a little bit of clear air as well, but still the top 4, none of them coming into the pits. Got 6.5 tenths of a second back. Just dropping back a little bit on that last lap, I think was Stokes. Yeah, Stokes just losing 3 tenths on that last lap. Was 2 tenths to 3 as well. Bad news for Stokes, of course, is that he hasn't had the draft for this entire stint, and so he's going to have to pretty much have the same length pit stop as Scott. But surely, if Scott and Ross come in on the same lap, as we have a back marker slightly off the circuit, if if Scott and Ross come into the pits at the same time, Ross should have a shorter pit stop due to that tie he's been having for the majority of this stint. Well, either of them come in on this lap. You'd think that they will do, just cover off the undercut at the halfway stage of the race. And Scott stays out. However, Jordan Ross is into the pits. Carl Stokes as well into the pits. So it's going to have to be a mighty lap for Jordan Ross, and he's got to hope that he's in some clear air. However, I don't think that's going to be the case. I imagine he's probably going to come out around Michael Taliancic in 12th or 13th.
The best thing for James Scott to do now is to punch in the fastest lap of the race. Tom Freer just behind. He will also need to punch in a good fast lap. But like you say, Jordan Ross will need a very clean lap on the exit. And that field behind him is looking super, super congested.
We've got quite a few more cars too that have also jumped in the lane to knock out that one and only stop tonight as well. So keep an eye on that. We're seeing the two Synergy cars getting back underway. Jordan Ross, Carl Stokes now rejoin the circuit, and they'll find themselves down in 11th and 12th. So Michael Dumbrell just got ahead of them. Also seeing two in the chat tonight, Adam Briggs unfortunately has been dropped from the server as well. So unfortunate for him there from what was looking to be a really solid show. And I know quite a few of us had picked him for a good showing, continuing on with where he sits currently second in the championship.
Shame for him. We do get a couple of drop rounds in this series, which will be a relief for him, but still, you don't want to use them up too early on in the championship. And when you're going up against James Scott for the title, you really cannot afford any mistakes during the season. Loxton, who remember has made a pit stop. He's done the safety car. He is up in 5th place at the moment, but we're not sure if he can go to the end of the race on the tanker fuels. James Scott into the pits. Ross came out into... Actually, Ross isn't in much traffic, is he? He's 1.2 seconds to Barnes. And he did have a quick pit stop, did Ross. He was 18 seconds in the pits was Ross. And that's not that quick, actually. It's been others in the 15 seconds, in fact. So I'm not sure if Ross has necessarily done the pit stop that he needed in order to get ahead of James Scott. Scott now in the pits. Let's see how long his is. 17.6. So it's a shorter pit stop for James Scott. He should be all right against the threats of Jordan Ross. And there he is, coming out of the pits. It'll take him a while to get up to speed, but he does have the gap, and he's got a couple of cars as well between him and Ross. It just wasn't a quick enough pit stop there for Jordan Ross. I thought that he'd be able to maybe have a 1 second shorter pit stop. Maybe if that was the case, he'd be able to get ahead, but instead it's just left him a little bit behind still, and the order stays very similar to what it was before.
Yeah, interesting as well, that stop for Ross was also marginally slower than his teammate as well. And unfortunately for Kyle Stokes, where he has dropped out, he's now a couple of places behind. You can just see him in the back a shot there, and losing quite a bit more time to his teammate. So didn't quite work out for him there with both those cars coming in on the same lap. We do only have a handful of guys still left to come through. Tom Freer has now taken over the lead following James Scott coming through the leg. Michael Taliancic again stayed out and now finds himself up in second position, but it still doesn't have that stop. Blake Delaney also up there as well. Brett Loxton, the first of our stoppers, and he came in very, very early to get this done. And the moment is going to be leading when we see these final three cars come through the lane for their stop.
Apologies.
The key point.
Oh, sorry, carry on, no?
I was going to say the key point there is when they come in. It depends on how long they can make this tank last, and depends on how much fuel they save during that safety car. They might be able to go longer than we think, and that might change the end of the race.
Yeah, it could certainly be a shake-up from what we saw earlier on in the event. Delaney into the pits. Apologies to Adam Biggs for my choice, but didn't mean that it was a mistake. Just a setback per se, which just costing him a little bit there. But yeah, certainly hope to see Adam back for future rounds. Going back for that for that race win. That is only a matter of time until coming away. Yellow flag out. Now, this isn't good news for Tom Freer, I think. This is very bad news for Tom Freer and anyone who hasn't pitted, because the pit lane is closed. In the first lap you have under the safety car, the pit lane will be closed, and they will have to bunch up the order and then come into the pits, well, the drivers who haven't pitted yet, and they may well come out, well, they will come out behind the entire train. That's very bad news for them. Could be good news for Loxton. They might make the fuel situation a little bit easier for him. But no, that's yeah. We'd be particularly pleased with that one, Tom Freer, and that's going to be a top 5 opportunity. I think quickly dashed from him.
I can already feel the text messaging coming from Tom that he's not going to be happy with that. And yeah, you're definitely right. It's going to help Loxton if he can conserve enough fuel that he's put in. He might be looking on for a sweet result with this one.
So this is why we have the safety car. Christian Smart, very slowly, will try to figure out what caused all that damage. He couldn't get back to the pits, unfortunately.
Yeah, it looks like it was also involved with Hayden Veld as well. The car F Motorsports car there with a very sick engine. So I believe both of those two have come together at the end of the Ascari. Oh, that was a huge hit. There was also one of the Sim racing cars. I think that's David Kidman involved in that. You'll see the car just straight off to on a screen and nowhere for these guys to go. All ran up the back of everyone there. Really unfortunate for those guys.
It's been good driving on the most part today. We've just had a couple of incidents like that. We had the one at Curva Grande where a couple of drivers collided and went into the woods, just the close proximity of the walls, I guess, around this circuit, which at least at the corner we've had incidents which have caused a couple of safety cars that we've had so far. I feel bad for Freer. It is part of the strategy, though. It's part of the strategy. It's part of the risk of staying out. That this is always a possibility that everyone else pits just before you, and you have to pit afterwards. Not even sure if Freer's got enough fuel, frankly, because he was on the clutch, basically had the engine off when he was going down the pit straight. So I wonder if he's struggling on fuel to get this thing round to the pit lane to be able to get some fuel in. But he's pretty close now. He should be able to make it anyway.
I think as far as Tom goes, he knows his race is going to be massively affected by this, so he'll be fuel saving as much that his pit stop when he needs to take it won't be as long.
Yeah, and similarly, that'll be the same result that we'll also see from Taliancic here, the driver in second place at the moment. Brett Loxton, this actually is probably going to work really well in his favour. We saw him come in for that early stop, and while everyone slows down under safety car, this is only helping him extend the range that he's got left in that car as well.
I wonder if we can go on board with Taliancic and see if he's conserving just as much as Freer.
They should be in on this lap. I think the pit lane's now open.
Definitely conserving there from Taliancic. So the Pursuit racing cars are doing the same thing, saving as much so their stop won't be as long, given their strategy was massively thrown out by that safety car.
So if you're in the pit, if you're in the safety car line now, bunch up, guys, because there's a couple of places on offer here that you want to make up if you possibly can. Because I don't think the pit lane exit will be closed. I think Freer will be able to get back out on circuit whenever he likes. I don't think he'll be able to drop to the end of the line. But he's now dropped outside the top 20. The driver who was so strong earlier on, up in 4th place, holding his own, a comfortable 4th place, and he is now in 23rd place. I am seeing looks as though he'll stay in 23rd place. Tanic down to 27th. I don't think it's actually affected Tanic too badly, but certainly for Fear, it's very bad. And yeah, 23rd place, I believe, for him. Will they have to drop to the end of line? It seems as though they're going to be able to keep those places. So, yeah, just outside top 20 will be a fun race for them now, with some fresher tyres to the end of the race.
Yeah, and that will help them quite a lot there to get further up the order. We're just hearing the 999, Hayden Bell, who we saw bring out that pace car, has just been allowed to exit out of the track, so we should see that car clear away momentarily here, and we're almost ready to go back to race start. Lighten off the pace car, so we should be good to go this time by.
The challenge here is for Brett Loxton to lead the field away the way James Scott has managed to so successfully over these past 4 rounds. James always sort of gets his clean exit and leaves the field for dead. We saw that earlier. Jordan Ross stuck with him, but be interesting to see what kind of restart Brett Loxton gives us.
I will just point out, by the way, lap 3 under the safety car. Can the drivers pit under the safety car and go to the end of the race? And I think a couple of people said no. I will just point out that Brett Loxton did pit under the safety car and seemingly is going to try to go to the end of the race. So I'm 2 for 2 so far this season in that regard. Although that's a lot of fuel saving. He was on the clutch there, Loxton. So
I stand by my comment and still back James Scott.
Oh, I've jinxed it.
Yes.
You should buy Jinx shifters, by the way.
Wow, great shifters.
Great
but
segue.
He's also got guys that are on 10-lap fresher rubber as well. So while he is at the head of this train at the moment, I think it will be a short-lived prospect for him, unfortunately.
He's got quite a few laps to survive. He's got 9 laps to survive. If he's got the fuel to get to the end of the race, which on that onboard wasn't totally convincing. The other drivers who pitted under the first safety car, by the way, have all come into the pit since. Seemingly under this pace car. So they didn't think it was possible. Loxton thinks it is. It could still be interesting, though, even if he does have to come to the pits later on, how he affects the racing in these early couple of laps. It's going to be a 9-lap shootout here. Watch out for Scott to get past Loxton straight away. He's got to be on the move. Loxton waiting for what he knows that he's not going to have much traction in those aging tyres compared to the rest of the order. He now puts his foot down. It's a good launch as well for Bex Loxton to get racing back underway in the AOSC Super Series. And Scott not close enough at the moment. Ross, though, is close in the CNG Sim Racing car. He was close enough for the entire first stint. Not quite close enough to make a move. He might be close enough to make a move here, though, as Scott's going to go for it straight away down the inside of the 209. Much better braking capabilities for the Logitech G Alsace Esports car. And he makes his way past. That was a brilliant move there from Scott, wasting absolutely no time. Now having to make the move is Jordan Ross as well. He's got the slipstream of James Scott just ahead of him. Loxton knows that he's not realistically in this fight, and he will just let these guys go. Now, can Stokes get past into the second chicane? No, he can't quite. But that was a clinical racing there from Scott. He knew he has to get past in order to fend off the 143, and that's where he's done.
Yeah, really good start to get away for Loxton there. Unfortunately, not able to hold off the advance of James Scott down into 1, but holding quite steady now in 3rd position further down the field. Everyone's still getting away single file as we watch them all go through Lesmo 1 and 2. No major issues. The 978 trying to get a move here. It's Jamie Stovall on Damien Johnston. We saw those guys involved in some issues earlier on in the race. Johnston's still able to hold position and currently finds himself back up in the 14th, but a bit of an awkward entry for him as he worked his way through the Ascari.
If Ross wasn't, apologies, if Scott wasn't too bothered about breaking the draft earlier on in the race, he'll be bothered about breaking it right now. And he's got the gap up to 6.5 tenths of a second, but that's close enough for Ross. You can see the gap coming down between the two of them. It should be back down to about 4.5 tenths of a second by the time they get on the brakes and trying to break the draft as well. Indy 500 practice is going on currently this week. It looks like he's practicing as well, as there goes Carl Stokes as well down the inside of Loxton, who does seem to be struggling a lot on the brakes into the first chicane. That's maybe where the old tyres are affecting him, or maybe that's just where he's not as confident as the other drivers. Wasn't a great exit from Stokes, it was good enough though, and he's on the inside into Kirby Grande. It took him 3/4 of a lap, and Loxton might lose another place here to Brian Borg. Not quite there, the Super Racing car stays just ahead.
Yeah, Loxton's going to start really becoming the cork in the bottle here as he slips down, just not able to get the same level of drive and traction that everyone else around is coming with, just as a result of those old tyres. Still got a stellar job to see. Is that McKnight been rotated around on the exit of the second chicane there? He's going to let everyone file through before he rejoins, so that's a tough break for Jamie. They're down quite a few spots and sporting some damage now as a result on that car.
It's already a car spearing off, I think.
Yep, that's the idea of 2 to 3, don't go into 1. Not enough room on the outside left, and McKnight rotates around the front of that car.
There's someone going to get a massive slowdown.
Yeah.
And then for McKnight there, with a little bit of bump and rub with one of the EXG Motorsports cars. Potentially might have been Brad Ratu, and at the end of that, McKnight faring the worst as we saw the conclusion to what happened there.
I think it was Reese Keane who cut the chicane. And was very lucky not to hit the wall. Did well to collect the car as well when he got back onto the tarmac. Christensen, seeing plenty of him so far today. He's now battling with Corey Shepherd. He's made up a couple of places at Shepherd, maybe not quite the progress that we thought, so we maybe thought that he'd be a little bit higher up the order by now. They're still in the draft of Hintz, and Kobe Jones as well, falling into the clutches of Thomas Hintz at the moment. He's way past for the RAR2 car. Didn't look like it, and now they're all back into this train. You get a little bit of a slow up, and all of a sudden the train almost doubles in size, and well, Loxton's doing well too, but he's doing the right thing. He's not defending a whole lot, he's not fighting these guys up massively, but they're still finding it tricky to pass him.
He's placing that car exactly where he needs to, just to try and retain those positions, and at the end of the day he's still racing for points. The guys are trying to get every advantage they can over the course of this championship, and the fact that he's able to hold off as many of these guys as possible is a testament to how well that car is set up and has looked after its tyres. Brian Borg, McMullen, Kobe Jones will all be looking to work their way through Thomas Hinton and the guys in the mix behind that, and everyone is going to be angling to get past this Fleet car.
Given all the drafting that goes on at Monza and all the aero wash that those cars behind should be advantaged by, the Zuva car of Loxton doesn't appear to be falling too far back, even though he is on older rubber. So,
no.
In the lane. There's your prediction, Sam.
Oh no, dear me. Well, that's a shame. I think he thought he could get to the end, but he's realised now that it wasn't going to happen. As the battle for fourth intensifies, it's McMullen up into fourth. He's got past Borg. Jones right there as well. And this one going back to Stovall now. All the way back in 14th place. Tom Freer as well up into 16th. Good stuff on Freer. He's up 6 places since the pace car came out. He'll be with these guys by the end of the race. Maybe not at the front of the train, but I think he should be able to latch onto the back of the train by the end of the race. He is storming along with those much fresher tyres at the moment, and just generally a faster driver, it seems to tell. You can see that he has got a bit of a gap now in order to catch up to them. And the train as well. Lots of trains around this circuit. It's been a fantastic meeting. Ross slightly off the circuit, I just saw, but he seems to be alright. He's now 8.5 tenths of a second off the race lead. So seems so Scott has got this one just managed at the moment, looking very good for a fourth race win of the season. Keep up his 100% track records.
You're doing a really solid job there, along with a couple of the boys in the Tanked SRT team. A little further down, Jamie Dyke, Rob Bowden. Rob, we saw have that big spin spear off earlier on, so he's managed to get back underway with that one fast repair that they have got through the course of the series. And both the SRT boys now looking at Marty Hansen just ahead to try and get a move done. Further up the field, though, battle's still going on. Dylan Rudd, Jordan Sini, Damien Johnston back involved in this. Jamie Stovall's in there as well, trying to thread his way through and just not quite able to do it. But Rudd there running very, very wide, and that's going to hurt him. He's not going to quite have the same momentum that everyone else ahead of him's got.
3 wide.
Just on the way down to turn 1.
He's going to get it stopped. Oh, it's only contact with the 99. Oh, the good driving from the 440 to leave room for the 033. Nice work. That was Sidney leaving a little bit of room there for Johnston. He didn't have to leave a whole lot of room, but he just left enough because Johnston wasn't getting out of that one. Almost sliding the curve and going the easy flats out, but tires are starting to grade a little bit more, and in the draft as well, that extra bit of speed that they are carrying. Deep on the brakes for Sidney. Loads of curb as well for Johnston. He's now having to go defensive. Rudd not getting past, and Fia now about 3 seconds behind these guys. Is he on course for catching up? Those guys in the high 48s. Fia did a mid 48s, not that impressive on that last lap. Needs to be getting into the 47s like the race leaders are at the moment in order to catch.
Battle with Freya and Ratu still charging on, down for 16th position. It's a long way down for these guys. Remember, Freya was up in that 4th spot earlier on, so he's not come out well. Obviously we saw he had that issue with the safety car coming out where it did, really compromised his run, but putting on a solid fight here to keep Ratu behind. Greg Sharp trying to close up as well. For Ratu, though, up 28 spots from where he started, so it's been a stellar drive for him so far. Sharp up 12 as well, so quite a few quick guys working their way back up through the back of the field, which is great to see over the course of this run.
Getting close for the lead at the moment. It's back down to 0.4 of a second. Was up to over a second at one point, but Ross, a couple of laps ago, was 0.4 faster, and that last lap he was 100th of a second faster. This one's open for Ross. He can win this one. I'm not sure if I've ever seen Jordan Ross win a race. I stand to be corrected, but I don't believe he won a race last season. So this would be a big achievement for him. Will certainly be his first race win of this championship. Always so often on the podium, but rarely converting it. Has he won a race before, Jordan Ross?
Quite a few seasons ago was very, very good in the Synergy cars. Obviously, we did see last season, started with ERT, then made the switch back to his former team in Synergy, and they struggled a little bit to get the mix in that car, and I think just a little bit of setup development was needed. But over the course of that championship, coming into this one now, they've really found what's working in that car, as we can see here. 0.4 of a second gap between himself, James Scott, and the Synergy car really starting to show its pace now.
Stokes well behind, but this is what we always see, isn't it? No, I mean, you got to give credit to James Scott. He always makes it an entertaining finish for us. I'm thinking back to Watkins Glen last season, and of course Okayama last time out. Often he's not necessarily the fastest driver. Second place might be a little bit faster, but he's so good at defense. He doesn't over defend, but he just knows where to put the car, and usually in this situation he's able to hang on and keep his rival behind for the final few laps, and well, that's what he'll be trying to do today.
Absolutely, he intends to make the AOSC sports car the biggest Commodore on track, and he successfully manages to do it so many times. That's one of the reasons why he does have the number 1 on the door, is because you win championships when you keep cars behind you.
Brian Borg up into 4th now, so slightly mixed up front order there. There's been a few issues for drivers today, and so Brian Borg, this would be one of his best races I've seen him produce, at least. Again, I've only really been involved in the series from the start of last season, but he's doing very well up in 4th place. He's got past McMullen. I imagine McMullen will be able to come back at some point in the closing stage. Here's Reece Keane, who skipped the second chicane earlier on today. And he is in 15. Seems as though 3 has got a lot of damage, to be honest. He's dropped behind Red 2 and Sharp. So I think, and his lap times 3 are pretty poor. So despite making up a few places earlier on, and just after the safety car, it seemed like he picks up some damage during that. And now he's having to struggle to the end, or maybe didn't put enough fuel in at his pit stop. Shame for Tom Freer. Because, top 5 should have easily been his today, but he'll be on the outskirts of the top 20 today.
Yeah, and they'll be bitterly disappointed with that. It's a little bit of an unfortunate scenario we're seeing from Sheet Sim Racing. Last season, they were very, very dominant in that mid to top end of the field and just struggling a little bit with form at the moment, but no doubt those guys will definitely bounce back. Jamie Stovold at the moment doing a stellar job in the 14th spot to hold off Brad Ratu for DPR Racing, Brice Keane in the DPR car there. These guys are being nose to tail.
So I just saw the gap between the top 2 go down to less than a tenth of a second, and again, it's going to be really close through Curva Grande because here's the slipstream opportunity for the 143 car. It's down to 1.5 tenths of a second. Not much of an opportunity to break the draft through Curva Grande, and Scott will play his car to the inside. Just brilliant positioning. He played his car enough to the inside that the inside wasn't a possibility, but then he played his car in the middle enough that the outside wasn't much of a possibility either. So nice positioning. We've only got this lap and one more to go, so Ross has got to make the move now if he's going to win this race.
Oh, and Kobe Jones had an issue as well. Down into the second chicane there. It looks like might have been the teammates involved in that. As we see a replay there. And that was one of the supercars that were getting involved in that as well. So that's a really unfortunate run there for him.
Yeah, it looks like he's stopped it on his own there. One of the things when you're in a battle pack with these supercars is that you do need to clutch on the downshift or flip the throttle, and sometimes you can just spin it up a bit too much, and the rear brakes out, and that's where he ended up. But his Corey Shepherd also running off the circuit.
Be glad that that's tarmac now. Final lap. Scott's 3 tenths of a second ahead of Jordan Ross, who's a bit further back than he was on the last lap. So often we see this. Scott being challenged by so many other drivers, but his racecraft is a level above every other driver in this series. He made that move straight away, remember, on Loxton after the safety car. And that should be the big danger area gone now for James Scott. There's other issues for Christensen. No, Christensen, he's spent the whole race in the top 10. Brilliant race for Christensen. He's dropped to 16th now, and Shepherd also having more issues, it seems, down into 13th. Half a second between the front 2 though. Maybe Parabolica will be Ross's last opportunity. I think he needs a mistake though from Ross. It's a better exit. He needs a mistake from Scott. It's a better exit for Ross here. Half a second, 4.5 tenths. And now he's got to absolutely nail this Ascari chicane to get close enough to get the punch in the air down this back straight. But James Scott doesn't make mistakes. And the gap remains at 4 tenths of a second. Ross has given it his absolute all. He's been a match for Scott today, but it was Scott's qualifying, it was Scott's restarts, and it was Scott's move in Loxton, just surely made this race victory his. He won at Silverstone, he won at Alton Park, he won at Okayama, and for the 4th time this season, out of 4 races, it's going to be a win for James Scott. Logitech G out to 2 spots, back on the top step. James Scott wins at Monza. Round 4 of the championship is his. Jordan Ross, good 2nd place, and Carl Stokes as well in 3rd. Brian Borg with a superb result for Premier Racing Team in 4th. And Marlon McMullen making it, nice day for that team in 5th. Christensen again into the wall. Oh, well, it was such a good start to the race. Oh, big slide for Thomas Hinds, I think that was, across the line. And I think he, what's that Hinds? Or maybe it was for 2. I'm not sure, but one of the drivers was absolutely all over the place. across the coming out of Parabolica. An entertaining race, overtakes all over the place. Some good racing on the most part. And in the end, it's Scott, Ross, and Stokes on the podium. Rest of the judges have come across the line. Freya in 31st. I think he may have had to make an extra pit stop, or just had an issue right at the end. Did Freya, and after looking like a solid top 4, he ends up outside the top 30. A great race there, Daniel. The racing in this series usually very high quality, but that was a little bit more fierce, I'd say, today. But at the same time, on the most part, it was still very clean. Good respect being given by the drivers.
Yeah, it was a really, really solid race from everyone out there. We did see those few minor little issues, which you're going to expect. Everyone's fighting over the proverbial sheep station to get ahead and do what they can. So to only have seen the 2 safety cars as a result of all that, really, really good from everyone. The passing was superb down in through the major braking stops. We saw everyone really getting up to it. And up towards the front, we saw the same thing. Yeah, it was last season. Scott went 4 for 4 in the opening start. We saw a few guys further on in the championship get some wins later on, but that really solidified where he is, and he's doing it again already tonight.
Yeah, another perfect round for James Scott, pole position and the race win for him. May even been fast lap as well. I think he was the only guy to get into the 46ers as well. So I think a grand slam, don't they call that, for him today. Should be able to go through the finishing order. There it is. 4 tenths of a second was the gap between Scott and Ross. Ross had that half opportunity with about a lap and a half to go. That was as close as he got. But he'll still be pleased. Good race for Synergy. They have got much stronger so far this season. Carl Stokes in 3rd. Great result for Brian Borg. Good race car from Borg actually to make his way up to 4th place. Marlon McMullen in 5th. Then it's Thomas Hinz, Sean Lindsall, Geordie Sinney, Bradford 2, Reese Keane, Kobe Jones, Damian Johnston, Corey Shepherd, Greg Sharp, Rob Bowden, Jacob Knight, Jamie Stovall, Marty Hansen, Stephen Varga, Jamie Dyke, Jaden Borg, Chris Barnes, Logan Barnett, Kenneth Latter, Ben Christiansen, Michael Dumbrill, Cameron Beacock, Dylan Rudd, Brett Loxton with that alternative strategy. Good effort there from Brett. Michael Ward, Tom Freer, Jamie McKnight. I think that was the drivers on the lead lap. And then 1 lap down was Matthew Deere, and also Cameron Jones and Michael Tajancic. And then the retirees were Jet Bennett, Blake Delaney, Michael Whiting, David Kimmond, Hayden Beld, Christian Smart, Ashley Ruskin, Adam Briggs, Andrew Dyson, and Scott Gamble. Should have some interviews now with the drivers, which will be good to chat to. And well, I've kind of got used to talking to this guy. Frankly, it's James Scott, who has got another race victory. Congratulations, James. It's 4 out of 4, but once again pushed right to the limit.
Yeah, obviously tough race with that one there. I sort of expected that heading into this round. It's obviously extremely hard to pull away, and then in the middle of the race there, just after the pit stops, I was managed to get a gap, and then there was an unlucky crash, I think, at the last corner, which caused a safety car, which closed it all back up again.
What was the thinking behind your pit stop? Were you just waiting for the others to come in, or were you always going to pit on the halfway stage?
I was just sort of going lap by lap, to be honest. I worked out how exactly I could pit and come out in clean air, and I think that paid off with Jordan pitting and coming out in a little bit of traffic. Hence sort of why I was waiting. Otherwise, I would have come in a lot earlier. But yeah, I think that definitely paid off in the end.
And in those closing stages, you seem to pull away a little bit after the safety car. I think you got to about a second ahead, and then all of a sudden, your rival was coming straight back at you. I mean, do you think you were the fastest driver out there today, or do you think Ross perhaps had the pace advantage in those closing stages?
It's definitely hard to say. I was able to put a half decent qualifying lap in, which was good. and lead away. I'm not sure about outright pace. I think maybe that's a question for Mills behind. But yeah, all in all, I think it was a good race. Put on a good show for the broadcast.
And next up, we have a break week, and then we have another 150, this time at Charlotte Roval. Have you got any experience with that car check combination?
Next to no experience around there in any car, to be honest. Luckily enough, I know where the corners go, but that's pretty much where it ends for me. So I'll have to put in a little bit of work for that week and see what we can come up with.
So it's a good fun circuit. I think most of you will enjoy it. Well done today, James. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Obviously all the guys at AOSC Sports and all our great sponsors, Logitech G, Astro Gaming, Cube Controls, and Own 3D. And obviously you guys for putting on a great broadcast and all the AOSC admin.
Awesome. Thank you very much, James. And we'll see you back in a fortnight's time.
Thanks, guys.
James Scott there for Logitech G Altus Esports, your race winner tonight. Next up, we will chat with our second place driver, Jordan Ross, who is standing by with Daniel.
Jordan Ross, Synergy Sim Racing, congratulations, mate. It's a very solid run for you guys on the team tonight. Second position home for you. The car looking very, very good out there. Give us a bit of a rundown on how your night unfolded.
Yeah, thanks, guys. As a team, as you can see in quali, we had, I think, 3 cars in the top 5, so we're definitely getting better as a team. But yeah, James just had that little bit extra in the low-speed corners, and I wasn't able to... I mean, I could have thrown a stupid move, and we both could end up in the dirt, but he had me covered tonight, so well done to him. But yeah, we'll do a bit more work. We're getting close, so yeah.
Well, yeah, definitely. The car's really come a long way. I know we had a bit of a chat last season. You guys were struggling just a little bit following the move from ERT going back home to Synergy. You guys struggling just a fraction, but you've found something in the car now that seems to be working really well for you without giving too much away on the speed. Do you think there's any room for improvement just to find that last little bit to get it where you need it?
Yeah, absolutely. We know exactly where we're struggling. Like, we've worked on lots of areas and we're strong in lots of areas, but obviously if we knew how to fix the one area where we think we're weak, we would have done it, but we're still working on it.
Yeah, definitely. And how was obviously we had the bye week last week, race this week. We got another bye week coming up, and in a fortnight's time, then we're off to Charlotte Roval, different circuit for AOSC. We haven't really done too many of the NASCAR style road courses, or oval road courses. Anyway, first off, how do you think the cars are going to fare around there? And do you think you guys will find yourselves in a pretty good position, being it's a little bit different to what we're traditionally seen?
Well, I hope so. To be honest, I've never driven a lap there. Last time I think AOSC went there, I was away. So, we should be strong. Like, we'll just work away like we normally do and come up with something.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Well, you guys are really starting to find your stride now, and the car's definitely looking very, very good up towards the front of the field, where I've kind of remember them from quite a few seasons ago. They were very sharp up towards the pointy end, so it's great to see you returning back up to the top end. And for yourselves tonight, second place, really solid effort. I know you gave it your all out there, but before we let you go and enjoy the celebrations, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out and a thanks to?
Yeah, thanks to all the guys at Synergy Sim Racing, JK Signs, and everyone on the team. We're putting in lots of work to get up to where we are, and of course you guys.
Fantastic, Jordan. Well, look, again, congratulations, mate. We'll see you out on track in a fortnight's time. Enjoy the time off, and we'll see you there.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Jordan Ross for Synergy Sim Racing. They're your second place finisher tonight. And finally, we're going to have a talk with another Synergy Sim Racing driver. It's Carl Stokes, and he is standing by with Noi.
Welcome, Kyle, and welcome to third place on this Friday night at Monza. It was a good race. We didn't see many antics from in or around your car. How was it from your perspective?
It wasn't too bad, mate. Just didn't have the car tonight, really. Just trying to get back on the podium. Been a fairly long time since I've been here, so yeah, just trying to get back to getting a decent result and build from that.
Yeah, we saw you didn't run with your teammate a lot there, but it was definitely obvious the cars were fast and both team cars were incredibly settled over those curbs. Was it just more driver, or was it there was something else in the car you couldn't unlock?
Just more low speed. Just been struggling getting off the corner as well as we'd like, but other than that, like the balance is okay as in being able to drive it. It's just getting that last little bit out of it.
It's always the last few tenths we're always looking for. The next round up is Charlotte Roval. It's a bit of a blank canvas for most of us. We don't spend most of our time. We spend most of our time at GP tracks and touring car tracks, not really ovals. How do you think you'll fare there?
Shouldn't be too bad actually. I've driven a few laps there. I don't actually mind the circuit, so I don't know. Might be back here next week. Never know.
Yeah, we hope to see you back here in the box. Anyone you want to give a shout out to while you're here?
Just all the boys at Synergy, JK Signs, and just all the boys help me out.
Well done again tonight, Kyle. Great job.
Not a problem, mate. See ya.
So Carl Stokes there, your third place finisher for Synergy Sim Racing. And that pretty much rounds out the interviews. Quick shout out once again to all the sponsors. Big thanks to all of them for their support of the series. Acuta providing height, safety and rigging equipment for sale and hire. Jinx Shifters making premium shifters for brake bias and ARB adjusters, all for sim racing. Race Circuit Arts Australia making custom race circuit designs, which you can hang on your wall and all sorts. They look absolutely brilliant. Sixth Gear Imagery doing sim racing digital imagery, and we'll be doing the action shots as well, which I believe you can find on the AOSC Facebook page. So certainly do check out that one. Wolf Graphics, who are Aussie-made stickers, and once again, thanks to them for sending me some stickers from the other side of the world. Big thanks to them for sending me that. And also West End Mazda, Too Easy Finance, and Parameter Isuzu Ute as well. Sydney car dealers led by dealer principal Jamie McKnight, who of course drives in this championship. Certainly do check out all of them in the future. Just a quick word as well on the next round of the championship, Noi. Charlotte's Roval, a circuit that I don't believe we've visited in this series before. I'm a big fan of it. I really like it. There's quite a few chicanes in it, and of course that first part of the lap as well, really close walls. It's a weird circuit. It's a really weird circuit, but I think it'll be a good host for the next 150 of the season.
Yeah, look,
Yeah,
I'll go ahead, Nori.
I was going to say I agree with the weird part, and I think that about ovals in general. So it's good that there's a roval part of it, but for me it's a bit of a funny one, and I'm gonna love seeing how all our drivers, like we heard from James Scott, not much experience on the roval circuit, so it'll be interesting to see how he fares, and a few of the other drivers too. Dan?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know for myself, last time I would have gone around that circuit probably would have been back in the old Mazda days. So to see the supercars back out there, obviously iRacing has done some recent updates with scanning and adding in the new chicane just before you cross the start-finish line. That's really going to throw up some interesting overtakes for these guys, and for them to get the cars set up working well around there's going to be a really unique challenge that they're going to have to adapt to and overcome to get the most out of it.
Will be a great challenge, and hopefully, not to be biased or anything, but James Scott 4 out of 4. It's fantastic to see the level of driving that he's producing, but hopefully someone might be able to take the win off him. He's been challenged so many times this season by Premier Racing Team in race 1, and then in the last rounds of the championship as well, and then of course today with Jordan Ross. But hopefully someone can finally get that upper hand on the Logitech G Altus Esports driver in the 5th round of the championship. We won't be here then for next week, but we will be back for the week after. We're having an off week, but we'll be back at Charlotte Roval in a couple of weeks' time. If you've enjoyed this video, please do leave a like on it. Subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network because there's loads more great content to be released. There's pretty much a race on constantly. There's barely a free spot, so just subscribe to the Esports Network, have a look at what's on, and I'm sure there's something that you'll really have good fun watching along. And if you don't mind, please do subscribe as well to Apex Racing TV. We do many streams which aren't shown on the iRacing Esports Network on Apex Racing TV, which are fantastic fun to watch, so certainly do check out Apex Racing TV and go subscribe to our channel, and also check out our social media as well on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. But for now, from me, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Daniel Leet and from Matthew Norris and from Scott Newton as well on the cameras, we are going to say goodbye, and we'll see you in a fortnight's time at Charlotte Roval. See you then.